Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic we've all heard about but probably completely misunderstand: testosterone. We're going on a biological journey that goes way, way beyond the typical gym bro stereotypes to look at the actual medical science laid out by Dr. Jun Saito. Get ready, because the reality of how this hormone actually works in your body is truly eye-opening.
Pause for a second and just ask yourself, what instantly comes to mind when you hear the word testosterone? If you're like most of us, your brain probably jumps straight to bulging muscles, maybe an aggressive attitude or a sky-high libido. Those stereotypes are just deeply baked into our culture, right? And, well, while they aren't entirely wrong, they only represent the very tip of a massive biological iceberg.
Okay, let's dive into this because that common image completely misses the medical reality. Dr. Saito points out that we really need to stop thinking of testosterone as just the muscle and libido hormone. Actually, scratch that. We have to completely reframe it as a foundational, systemic hormone that literally keeps your entire body running smoothly. It's not just about building a certain physique, it's about maintaining a functioning, healthy, and energized body. To really grasp its massive reach, let's look at where it comes from. Over 95% of your testosterone is produced right in the testes, with just a tiny amount coming from the adrenal glands. But here is the absolute critical part. It doesn't just stay there. It hops right onto the superhighway of your bloodstream, circulating absolutely everywhere to do its job. And when it travels, it impacts some wildly surprising areas. Did you know testosterone is absolutely vital for your bones? In this fascinating biological twist, a portion of it actually converts into estrogen, yes, estrogen, inside a man's body just to maintain bone density. It also heavily regulates your central nervous system, your prostate, and keeps your entire metabolism in check. The sheer scale of its influence is just staggering. So how does one single chemical do all these different jobs? Well, it all comes down to androgen receptors. Think of it like a giant game of lock and key. Testosterone is the key floating through your blood, and your body is practically covered in millions of cellular keyholes. When it finds an empty lock, it turns and activates that cell. And the wild part? These keyholes are everywhere, not just in reproductive organs, but in your brain, your liver, your muscles, and even your skin. Now, here is where we get into the real nitty-gritty mechanics of how your body uses this hormone, and why looking at basic blood work can sometimes be super misleading. You see, not all of the testosterone floating around in your blood is actually usable at any given moment. To really understand what's happening inside you, doctors have to make a very clear medical distinction between two specific measurements: total testosterone and free testosterone. And this brilliantly illustrates why a generic total number doesn't tell the whole story. Roughly 98% of the testosterone in your bloodstream is bound tightly to proteins like SHBG and albumin. It's basically in transit, locked up and completely inactive. Only a tiny 2% sliver is actually roaming around unbound. This is your free testosterone, and it's the only portion that can actually be used by those cellular keyholes. This distinction is absolutely crucial as we age. A man's total testosterone might actually stay pretty stable over the years, but aging specifically targets that tiny, active 2% sliver, causing your free testosterone to drop significantly. This targeted decline is exactly why medical treatments for Japanese LOH syndrome, which is essentially male menopause, focus entirely on treating free testosterone, not just the total amount. But wait, here's a fascinating catch. This isn't just an older guy issue. A stressed-out 25-year-old can easily have lower active testosterone than a healthy, active 50-year-old. Dr. Saito points out massive lifestyle factors that can totally tank your usable hormones. Things like chronic sleep deprivation, immense daily stress, carrying excess visceral fat, and a lack of exercise. Basically, your lifestyle is firmly holding the steering wheel here. Because lifestyle is the co-pilot, good doctors don't just order a quick blood draw and call it a day. It requires a careful, holistic medical evaluation. It usually starts with a deep dive interview about your sleep and stress. Then comes a very carefully timed blood test. Finally, a comprehensive medical review puts all the pieces together to rule out other diseases before even considering a prescription. Now, what's really interesting about this is the timing of that blood test. It absolutely 100% must be done in the morning. Why? Because testosterone follows a strict diurnal rhythm. Your levels naturally peak early in the morning and steadily drop as the day goes on. If you test at 4 p.m., you're going to get an artificially low baseline. Medical guidelines require a morning draw to see the true picture. And here is exactly why doctors are so cautious during that final review.
The classic symptoms of low T, the fatigue, the brain fog, weight gain, they're incredibly common, but they perfectly mimic other serious issues. You might be convinced you have low testosterone, but your crushing fatigue could actually be undiagnosed diabetes, thyroid issues, anemia, or honestly just severe burnout. Which brings us to Dr. Saito's biggest, most important warning. Do not self-diagnose. Look, the internet is flooded with ads pushing magic supplements that promise to change your life overnight. But hormone therapies are serious medical interventions. If they're mismanaged, they carry real risks, like thickening your blood, worsening sleep apnea, or impacting your prostate health. You literally cannot just guess your way through this with an internet quiz. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. Are you obsessing over a single number on a chart, or are you actually looking at your whole health? Testosterone is an incredible master key that supports nearly every system in the male body, for sure. But it's just one piece of the puzzle. If you're feeling off, don't chase a quick fix. Look at your sleep, look at your stress, and consult a doctor who looks at the whole you. Because true health, it's never just the tip of the iceberg.